Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to have a new class. This is going to be Unit 6 and this is a reading class. Your students' books, pages 88 and 89. So let's get started.
Pages 88 and 89. 8. Reading.
Living off the grid. Imagine heating your home without relying on the local power plant. Wouldn't it feel good to meet your need for electricity without harming the environment? For a growing number of people, these ideas have become reality. Out of concern for the environment and a desire for self-reliance, these people have made the bold decision to live off the grid. What exactly is the grid? The grid, short for the power grid, is the linked system that supplies electricity to most homes and buildings in developed nations. Homes that are off the grid are not hooked up to the local power supply. Instead, they produce all of the energy they consume. As a result, people living off the grid avoid the environmental and financial costs that come with on-grid living.
So what is meant by living off the grid? What is the grid? Right, the grid is the electricity system that supplies you with the light you need and with the power you need. Yeah, that is a system supplying power to the local neighborhood. Okay, the grid. Now, do you think that living off the grid has advantages? Let us carry on with another piece of the recording and then carry on also with the questions.
The key to getting off the grid is replacing electricity supplied by a power plant with a renewable energy source, like wind or solar power. Buildings that use solar power have solar panels on the roof or near the building. When the sun's light hits the panels collect the energy. Wind power is collected by turbines, also known as windmills. When the wind blows, the blades move, producing energy which is turned into electricity by a generator. Some people go even further off the grid. In addition to setting up a renewable energy source, they also have an independent source of water. They dig wells to access groundwater or use a cistern, a type of tank, to collect rainwater. Those most committed to living off the grid may even lack garbage service. These people generally live a life that creates very little waste, growing their own organic fruits and vegetables and raising chickens and goats for eggs and milk. By avoiding the consumption of packaged foods, they greatly reduce paper and plastic waste. As challenging as it may be to live off the grid, most off-gridders feel that the benefits far outweigh the difficulties. Jorge and Ella Alvarez, off-gridders in northern Arizona, say, "We love being off-grid. It's definitely hard work, but it puts everything in life into perspective. It's surprising to find just how much you can do without. Many people think we have a harsh and depressing lifestyle. Nothing could be further from the truth. We see living off the grid as a gift that has allowed us to be more in touch with nature and each other."
So, what are the advantages? What are the good things of living off the grid? Yes, using cleaner alternative power sources like the solar power, okay, or the wind power. Also, lessening the fuel and the expenses of depending on the electrical system of the nation, of the country. Again, it has other advantages of getting the family together enjoined work, and this is against the other people's anticipations of being a harsh life for those off-gridders. That's okay. So living off the grid does not necessarily mean suffering from a harsh life without electricity or something. On the contrary, they can make for their own electricity with the solar panels or the windmills, and at the same time save up a lot. Also, off-gridders go an even step further by depending on organic food and by sufficing themselves, with goats and chickens, yes, to keep their eggs and their milk, to get them, and this makes them even more friendlier to the environment and lessen their wastes and their garbage consumption, because they do not depend on packaged foods. Very interesting. Let's carry on with another piece of the listening.
This view is shared by Wendy Johnston, a mother of 3 living off the grid with her family in Ontario, Canada. Wendy recalls, "In the house I grew up in, we would leave lights on all day, the thermostat up at night, and water running without a second thought. I wanted my children to be raised with more respect for the environment and an awareness of the impact that they have on it. My children don't take energy for granted. I love the fact that they are learning how to take care of the earth while at the same time learning to be self-sufficient."
Okay, so there is an important question here. What is the impact, of the off-griders' lifestyle on their children? How does this affect the behaviors of their children towards environment? According to Wendy, this off-gridder from Canada, Ontario, Wendy Johnson says that her children have more respect for the environment. Everything has a perspective. They do not take energy or use the environment for granted. No, they have other perspectives of life. They know that this source of energy is very important, and they know how to conserve the environment. So, yes, by this, she implanted respect for the environment in her kids as well. Very nice.
Wendy admits that living off the grid has its difficulties. For example, the Johnstons' power usually goes down a few times a year. However, Wendy reflects, "The funny thing is that these often turn out to be some of our best times as a family. The power outages have an unexpected way of bringing us closer together. We read books and play games by candlelight, or we get together and tell stories." Living off the grid entails sacrifices and is certainly not for everyone. But for the thousands of people who have made this bold choice, life off the grid is filled with rewards that can't be matched by the conveniences and luxuries of life on the grid.
Very interesting. So, what do the off-gridders do according to Wendy Johnson, the Canadian? What do off-gridders do when they have a power cut? Yes, they get together as a family, they read books or play games. This is very sociable. And she says that they are enjoying their life in such a way. Yes, it entails some sacrifices, some effort, some labor, but at the same time, They are convinced and they are satisfied with their life in this way. Okay. Now, what are some public utilities that most of us rely upon? Electricity, running water, isn't it like that? Define the grid. Okay, we have already talked about this. We have discussed these questions already. Moving on. Here are the answers. So here are the answers of all those questions. Okay. And moving on to another particle. This is the workbook exercise F. Look at the pictures and write the 3 sentences that you think each person would say. I love growing my own vegetables. What else? What other questions can you think of? And what about Khalid and Abdullah? Take your time and try to think of sentences to write here. Okay. Here are some suggestions. In all these sentences, we have chosen the verbs followed by the gerund or the verbs followed by the complete infinitives. I recommend eating fruits and vegetables every day. I hate eating all vegetables from the supermarket. I attempt to recycle everything possible. I recommend getting 2 recycle bins, and so on. We like biking to work. We hate paying for parking in the city. We hate paying for parking in the city. We prefer to bike to work on rainy days, enjoying the nature. Exercise G. Write a sentence using each verb followed by a gerund or an infinitive. Have a look. I hate using a lot of water. I hate to use a lot of water. The word begin. Can we have an infinitive after begin? Can we have a gerund? Do you have sentences to write with the word begin? The farmer began using organic methods. We decided to get solar panels. I prefer to eat organic food. We expect to see her soon. She quit smoking. Exercise H. A hassle, a piece of cake, I guess. Whoops. A no-brainer, chalk, lame. Have some time to think of these answers. Here are the answers. Okay. And with this exercise, we've come to the end of our class today. Thank you so much, and wait for me in other classes. See you.